the goal is to score a touchdown. Every single play, every offensive player on the team wants to score a fucking touchdown. But not even every play is really designed to end up in the end zone. I mean, you are striving for that. But you recognize that everything has to happen perfectly, and there needs to be something wrong with the defense for that to work. There are plays that are designed to go longer distances and to cover more ground and to put points on the scoreboard. And usually those are long passing plays, which take a lot of precision. They take a lot of execution. They take years of learning how to throw, learning how to run properly, and also they need to be set up by a bunch of smaller things. And so I'm thinking of the question that you asked on the podcast not too long ago, Andrew, about, we can't really have rinky-dinky goals because they're not that exciting. But, the 6 yards in the cloud of dust is what gets you the first downs. Or 3 yards in a cloud of dust, I think it is. Yeah, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I forget who said that. I'm not sure if it was like a Vince Lombardi thing or whatever, but I was thinking about what you said on the podcast recently, and I'm just walking, and I'm like, yeah, there's definitely something to that. But then I was thinking about football and how it relates. You got your screen passes, your draws, your short runs, your, throw over the middle to the tight end, your slants, your out patterns. And then even just, let's say it's somebody new to fitness. Well, what happens when they throw in a new quarterback? They're not even a new quarterback. They've been quarterbacking for years. Probably by the time they got in the NFL, they've been a quarterback for at least a decade. But they're new to the environment. And because the stimulus is new, and because it's a level up above what they're used to, they would be really rare for the coach to say, hey, let's just fucking haul off and chuck one in the end zone. They almost always turn around and hand the ball off to somebody else. They almost always do stuff as a team. And so for somebody starting their fitness, it might be better for them to hand the ball off to somebody. Hire a coach. Maybe, hang out with a friend that already is into fitness. Hang out with somebody who's a savage already. See if that can rub off on you. Maybe you got a friend that likes to bike or likes to lift or likes to walk. You say, hey, anytime you go do that, I'd love to be involved. So that way you're taking some of it off of your shoulders, dumping it onto somebody else, but you'll still have to be part of it. You'll still have to work for it. You still have to turn the right way to hand the ball off. So yeah, I was just thinking about it in those terms, like the goal is to fucking score a touchdown, and the goal is to score many of them. Really as many as needed to win the game. The goal is to win, but the only way you can win is to score. And the only way you can score, usually, is to have a good amount of consistency with a bunch of small shit over time that leads you to march down the field and leads you to score. Ultimately, that will be the team that wins everything. It'll be the team that wins the Super Bowl. So while it is everyone's goal to get in the end zone, it's also everybody's goal to get to the playoffs. It's also everybody's goal to get to the Super Bowl. It's also everybody's goal to win multiple Super Bowls. Those are all big, long-term, lofty concepts, goals, ideas that almost don't even really need to be mentioned. I mean, isn't it everyone's goal to be rich? Isn't it most people's goal I mean, maybe not to be rich necessarily, but to be more wealthy than they currently are. Isn't it everyone's goal? Maybe not everyone. Like everybody likes money. So I say, isn't everyone's goal to be a little healthier, but maybe not. Some people literally just seem like they don't care. But even the people that don't care, I think they've tried. They've tried to go for walks and stuff a couple times. And I think they tried to lose some weight a couple times at least. I'm sure there's some that literally have no concern. But anyway, yeah, I was just thinking about that because it was a hard thing to answer. I've always had dreams, which is different than goals. Dreams would be like, I'm going to one day be in the Hall of Fame, or I'm going to one day be an NFL quarterback. And, you're 8 years old. A dream is like a larger thing, but the dream can't ever even come close to being a reality until you hit all these little minor, smaller things day in and day out. And you can't hit those things if the targets aren't big enough. If the thing that you're trying to do is too difficult, too hard, you will give up. You will give in. You won't continue. And continuing onward is the main thing because you've got to build consistency. Consistency will build discipline. That discipline will be part of your character. And your character will be something you can lean upon at any time because you will have built up a reserve of willpower strong enough for any emergencies or anything that happens in your life, whether it be tragic or whether it be just kind of out of nowhere. No matter what it is, you can be prepared for it by earning your freedom through your disciplines, by making and building a stronger character. It will build a stronger and tougher will. And that willpower will be something that it's a reserve energy that you can pull out at any moment. But you won't ever have that reserve energy if you didn't ever prove yourself to yourself and if you didn't try to improve yourself for yourself. And the only way you're going to do that is with the little stuff, like what I'm doing right now, walking. This is hour number 2 that I'm walking today. Been walking every morning with my dad at around 6 o'clock. It's been fucking cold out. Not East Coast cold, California cold. It's different. 30 degrees as opposed to 10. Pretty big difference. But anyway, the walking, more sleeping, drinking more water, eating more protein. These are all little things that anyone can do. You start to add in things like lifting weights, and you start to lose some people. You start to add in intensity in something, and you start to lose some people. But that's okay. Not everyone's got to do all the same shit. Anyway, this was meant to be a message that I just sent to Andrew, but I think if the audio comes out good enough, which I have my microphone in my pocket, I should have used it the whole time. But if the audio comes out good, enough, then this will be a Saturday school. I got that question bounced around in my head for a while, the one Andrew asked on the podcast. When we talked a lot about, how to get everything done. How do you get everything done? And my main answer was just not to even do it. Um, you don't get everything done in a day. You get everything done over a long period of time. The gym is a good example. My gym is a good example. Super Training Gym. Probably 500, maybe $700,000 worth of equipment in there. I didn't buy it all at once. It took me like 12 years to get all that stuff. And at some point, I'll continue to buy stuff, and I'll probably have over $1 million worth of equipment. Someone will say, hey man, how do you afford all that stuff? I was like, well, I've kind of bought one piece at a time over a long period of time. And that's kind of what it's been like. I mean, sometimes I was able to buy more than other times, but that's how it happened. Incremental, just like your training, incremental progress, progressive overload, progressively overloading. Because when you progressively overload your body, you also are progressively stimulating your body. Stimulation, not annihilation. So you want some stim, but it has to be stuff you can recover from, even with your learning, whether it be your learning, your training, your eating. It's got to be stuff that's highly adaptable, where you're like, yeah, I could do that. If you set a goal to start walking 2 hours a day tomorrow, and you're going to do it every day until the end of the year, you're most likely just not going to do it. If it's some part of a challenge, maybe you might make it. But there's like 50 or 60 days to the end of the year, so I doubt that you'd do it every day. There would be a day where it would rain, There would be a day where you just decided that you're going to let some other factor talk you out of it. And even if it was to rain, you could easily put on a raincoat. You could easily get an umbrella and still check that day off. But you wouldn't. Because the reason why you wouldn't is because it's a leap. Now, you would if you were already doing it, or you would if you were already used to it. But you would not do it if it was too new or too different for you, because you would view it as being too challenging, and then you would talk yourself out of it. Well, how do we talk ourselves into stuff more? We talk ourselves into stuff more by having things be convenient, by having things not feel too difficult. We can enhance our experience, like I'm doing right now, where I'm walking in downtown Davis. If I walk by my house, over by my house where I live now, it's like boring to walk over there. There's nothing there. So I decided to go somewhere where there's more action and more people around. I'm walking in this arboretum type thing where there's these ducks and there's like a stream, and it's beautiful. Try to add some beauty to what you're doing. Try to add some adventure to what you're doing, some excitement. Remember that stimulation part, right? Add some excitement in there. These are all things that I view as being very, very, very doable. I mentioned this before. Sometimes some of the things I mention, or some of the things you mention to yourself, should be such a cinch. It's where you're like, give me a break, bro. Of course I can handle that. Well, I want you to be able to do that. I want you to be able to say that, because I want you to be able to do it. Remember, there is no try. Try not. Do or do not. There is no try. Get your shit done. The only way to get it done is to have things that are manageable enough for you to actually do them. And remember, we have to be consistent, right? So if you need to be constantly consistent, and you need to take steps forward, step by step, ferociously, grab them for Rossiter. If we need to be doing that, the only way we're going to want to forge forward is if we know that there's A, there's a good reward, and B, we know it's not going to suck too much out of us. Right? Leaf blower. Another leaf blower alert. These are all ways that you can make things easier, make things more simplerist. But if you work on your discipline, you'll earn your freedom. And that'll feel amazing. Freedom from being fat, freedom from being broke, freedom from being tired, freedom from being beat down, freedom from other people's thoughts and opinions of you. You can now be independent of other people's opinions of you. Because you'll build up a discipline that's so strong that you'll now have a newfound belief and respect for yourself. Remember, there's no greater respect that you can earn than self-respect. But the only way to get self-respect is to do shit that makes you feel respectful about yourself. And that's going to include doing stuff. You got to do shit. You got to do shit. The great Art Williams coined the term, just do it. Don't listen to Nike. That was not something from somebody who was going through the electric chair. I believe it was from Art Williams, the great Art Williams. And if you've never seen the Art Williams Just Do It speech, you're missing out. Extraordinary speaker. Extraordinary man. Somebody who I'd love to meet one day. But just do it, right? It's important that you do that. It's important that you, but it's got to be stuff that you can do. It's got to be doable. A goal is not doable at the moment because you have to stack the things that you've done on top of each other to be a success. And the only way to be a success is to have already been a successful person. How do you do that? That doesn't make any sense, right? Well, it makes sense when you understand how success works. Success is a formula that you pour into other things. Success is not something that you get. It's something that you have to earn. Success is not something that you chase. Success is something that you attract. You can attract success, but success is a formula that you must pour into every single thing that you do. There's a recipe for success. And one of the requirements of success is that you're a successful person. And you do that through being consistent, being on time, being impeccable, crossing your T's, dotting your I's. All the controllable variables that are actually very simple. They might not always be easy because fatigue settles in, and remember, fatigue makes cowards of us all. It will make anybody, it will make the strongest man have the faintest heart. You can make a sudden dash, but you lack grit. It's easy to hold on when things are going well. But when things get tough, you tend to fall apart. And that is, again, why these things need to be simple enough at first for you to adapt to them, for you to get used to them, for you to get acclimated to them. As you get acclimated to them, they will become easier and easier and easier. You don't just one day pick up a guitar and start singing and jamming on the guitar. You fiddle around with a guitar. You mess around with a guitar for days, for weeks, for months. Probably even for years. And then you're like, oh, I think I could probably sing along with this at the same time. And then out of nowhere, you look like a professional. When I go and I do a squat, or I do a bench, or I do a deadlift, I handle the weight in a way that makes me look different. than pretty much everybody else that lifts. 99.9% of the population. There's a couple, really astute powerlifters that are fantastic, that can definitely outlift me. They can lift more than me, and they can lift better than me. But for the most part, I'm going to make it look different than you are. For the most part, I'm going to make it look different than most. When I go to do it, it's going to look professional. It's going to look clean. It's going to look crisp. It's because I've been doing it for a long time. And I started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Right? And I didn't miss anything in between. Well, I may have had some miscues in between. I may have messed up in between. But I learned from those mistakes. The error correction is what later made you think that the way that I lift currently is perfect looking or different looking than everybody else. It's through that error correction that we gain knowledge. Anyway, I hope this Saturday school was useful. Hopefully it's good enough to turn into something, because I didn't really plan on having this be a full thing. I just picked up my phone and I just went to make a voice note and ended up talking for 20 minutes, I guess. Anyway, that concludes that. I just want to kind of wrap things up with something quick. Today is my mother's funeral. Going to bury her today. And just something I wanted to share with you guys that I admired about my mom. My mom had a brain tumor when I was about 12 years old, and she had a surgery for it. And from that point on, and even before she had, part of the reason that she knew she had a brain tumor is she had a real hard time with her balance. And most of her life, or most of my life, I remember she was afraid of escalators, elevators, all these different things she was really scared of. And I always thought that it had something to do with the brain tumor, but it didn't. It had to do with her trauma from her growing up and being abused physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually, all those things. Unfortunately, my mother had to deal with all that. And these elevators and escalators and stuff reminded her of the apartment complex that she grew up in when she was a kid. And it kind of bring her back to that. And so that's why she had a very hard time dealing with it. But she later figured out a way to get past that and to have the strength. She used to be terrified of flying. She'd say, "You're never going to see me on a plane. I'm never going to fly anywhere." And later, when I moved to California, ended up having children, she said, "I'm coming out there to see you." And I said, "Oh, you're going to drive?" She said, "No, I'm going to fly." She's like, "I don't care what it takes. I'm going to figure this out." And so I admire my mom for that, being paralyzed by her past for so many years, and then overcoming that, having the power and strength, the will, the determination to just do what she felt she needed to do to have a relationship with her grandkids. And I'm forever grateful for that. That is an amazing gift that she gave my children that I will never forget. Just unbelievably selfless woman. You hear this all the time about moms. Moms are really special, wonderful, badass people. Those of you that still got your mom around, throw your arms around them, give them a hug. You never know what could happen tomorrow or what could happen today. Tell them you love them, give a big old fat hug, a big old sloppy kiss. And that's it. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch you all later.